Hey guys, how's it going? So on that video I made a few days ago about my biggest fear, there are a number of people who said that, man, you need to get right with Jesus, and that will solve all my problems somehow. Jesus will take care of me. He's going to change my diaper for me. No, he's not. And that got me thinking about making a video about why I left Christianity. And so that's what I'm going to do today. Now, I have to say right off the bat that this is a very controversial subject. This video is not intended to disrespect or put down anybody's beliefs. I believe that everybody's entitled to their own beliefs, and it's not my place to talk down or say that somehow I have all the answers and everybody else is wrong. That's not what I believe. And so if for some reason it kind of comes off that way, be careful here, I apologize from the outset. That is not my intention. My intention is to be respectful of everybody's beliefs. However, at the same time, it's hard to explain my story without, kind of stepping on toes. So it's not my intention. So I apologize if anybody gets offended. So back when I was 19 years old, I used to work at a grocery store. I worked there for a very long time. And this guy that I worked with, this new guy, came along and I worked with him, and he was a pastor. And he was starting a new church. So him and I got talking, and over the course of months, he's a really nice guy, and I went over to his place, and he started getting me involved in thinking about Christianity. And so I went down that road with him, and I have no regrets about that. It was an interesting experience. I met a lot of really nice people, and usually Christians are really good people. I gotta say that for sure. And in my life, I tend to do things all the way. Like if I live in a van, you know what? I'm gonna have a YouTube channel about it. Whatever I do, I tend to do it quite intensely. And it's the same thing when I was a Christian. When I was a Christian, I took it very, very seriously. And I ended up going to a Christian university called Trinity Western University. And my idea was, I was seriously thinking about becoming a pastor myself, because that's how intense I was about it. I really, really was into it. This is about 3 years into it, where actually more than that, it was about 4 or 4.5 years into it, where I thought about becoming a pastor. So I was, by that time I was in my early 20s. So I went to this Christian university, and I took some courses on religious studies. With the idea of maybe, I wasn't 100% definitely, absolutely going to be a pastor, but it was certainly a consideration I was thinking about. So that experience at that university gave me a lot of insights about, it made me really think about what I was doing. And I came, because when you're in a church, I was in a small church, and the people that I was in the church with, I was quite insulated. It's a very progressive church. The pastor didn't see God as necessarily male or female. He was definitely 100% Christian. This was a Christian church, 100%. It was all about Jesus and all this stuff. Anyway, he didn't want to pinpoint God as being male or female. He left that open. He didn't he didn't talk about creationism as being the beginning of humanity. He was very open-minded and very more intellectual, you might say. The church was much more intellectually based than emotionally based. And so that's the background I came from. And so when I went to this Christian university where there's thousands of students, I was exposed to a lot of different viewpoints. And the predominant viewpoint there was Christian fundamentalism. And what I came to realize is that a lot of the people that were Christians weren't Christians out of a conscious choice. They were Christians because they were raised that way. And they were Christians because mommy and daddy were Christians and their grandparents were Christians. I hope I'm going the right way here. And so they were Christians. A lot of them didn't really think about it that closely. They went to Christian university because that's where their parents wanted them to go. Now, not all of them. There is certainly a segment of the university's population which are very dedicated Christians who really sought to be close to God. And they were 100% dedicated to following their religious path. So I came to realize through my time at that university, I was only there for 4 or 5 months, one semester. I came to realize that religion is socialized. And that's one of the key concepts that planted the seed for me to leave Christianity. Religion is socialized. Now, to expand on that, if you take a child born on an island with just his parents or whatever, and they raise him as a Muslim and a very religious, fully indoctrinated Muslim, then you take another child and they raise him as a Christian or a Jewish person and they indoctrinate him into the ways of that religion. That child is going to be believing in Judaism. So these children will grow up and they become adults, and guess what? They really believe what they've been taught. It's all they know. You don't have to go to the island example. You can go just to Israel and Iraq. But they both really believe what they've been taught. Does that make it true? No. It just makes it what they've been taught to believe. And it's the same with any religion, I believe. Just because you are raised that way doesn't make it true. So that was a key eye-opening revelation that I encountered while at that university. And I decided I didn't want to be a pastor. I went back and got a place to live on my own. And I really started looking into other arguments, other points of view about Christianity. And I read a number of books on it. And this is right around the beginning of the internet. So I didn't really have connection to the internet. But what I found was that Christianity was really about this key word, and you'll hear it a lot in Christianity, and it's called faith. And if you have faith, you will believe. If you have faith, you don't need evidence. Why do you need evidence? You just got to believe, man. And that really soured me when I looked at the actual evidence of something, an event that happened 2,000 years ago. There's no real proof. There's no real evidence. You just have to have faith that the evidence that they present is true. I mean, it's 2,000 years from a Bronze Age people. This is a completely different society than what we have now. I'm going going to have to get into the left lane to turn soon. So, again, I don't want to be disrespectful, but there's another word for faith, and it's called being gullible. And you can't have... It's hard to believe in something without evidence. Now, keep in mind, when I was a Christian, like I said, I was very committed. I was the music director. I mean, I was in my early 20s. This is a small church. So I was directing the music, and I was actually leading Bible studies in my apartment. I wasn't really leading them, but I was facilitating them. There was people there a lot more knowledgeable than me about Christianity, but I had it at my house, and I was serving drinks and all the rest of it. Non-alcoholic, of course. So I was really committed, and I was spending a lot of my time in the church and investing my time in the church. And I really enjoyed it in a lot of ways because the people were amazing. They were really nice people. But then I began to think, as I explored the religion further, what am I doing spending all this time and energy investing into something as I began to not believe it anymore? And that's when I stopped going to church, because I was spending like hours and hours of my week investing in something which I began to believe was not true. I'm going to pull over here because I'm getting close to where I want to go, and I don't want to be talking on my phone in the parking lot where I am. Actually, I'm really close, I think. Anyway, so as time went on, I decided that Christianity wasn't true based on evidence. Now, some people will say, you know what, you can't, what they call apologists will say, you can't view Christianity based on the people of Christianity. You have to base it, or the merits of the Christians. You have to base it on the evidence that there is for the claims. And so I'm not discounting that. I totally agree. I'm not judging it based on the people. But when I explored deeper and deeper and deeper, I came to realize that you could believe it or you cannot believe it. And it really comes down to your own choice. And it comes down to faith. You just have to have faith that it's true. Well, I'm not willing to do that. I'm not willing to invest my life into something that's which doesn't have evidence. That would never hold up in a court of law. I mean, now of course there's the whole idea of God, and that's a whole new ball of wax. You can't prove God, you can't disprove God. So where does that leave you? Personally, I don't believe that there's certainly, in my opinion, I don't believe in a Christian God. I don't believe in, when I was a child, you have this vision of the old man with a long white beard and a willowy cane. And that was God, this image of God. And as you get older, that changes, but I don't believe in a God. I don't believe in a creator. And I could talk about things about how we got here, and there's a book by this author named Peter Krause, and he talks about, I think it's called Out of Nothing or something, and he talks about, I'm not exactly sure, that title might be wrong, but part of the message he's saying is that there is never nothing. In outer space, there are particles of something. Now, what does that mean? Well, there's things in outer space, even though if you can't see it. And those things are maybe really, really, really small, but they're there. Like the size of atoms, but they're there. They're the building blocks of the universe. Now, the key is the amount of space between them. If you look at a water molecule, there's a lot more space between the particles in the water, versus if you look at a piece of steel, it's a lot more dense. And so you extrapolate that into outer space concept, there's way more space. It's just more space between them, but there's still something out there. So this guy's argument is that there has never been nothing. There's always been something. And I'm not doing it justice, and apologize for that. But it was I didn't read the whole book. I just read parts of it. To be honest, it was a bit over my head. But he, his whole idea was he was trying to explain the creation of the universe, and people say, well, God created it, and he did all this in 7 days, and oh my goodness, I can go on and on and on about this stuff. A big problem with religion is fundamentalism, and I believe that is the reason for a lot of the problems in the world today. And you could be a fundamentalist Muslim, you could be a fundamentalist Christian, but when your belief is 100%, 100.00% true, and everything else is wrong, that's a problem. And I don't think that anybody has a corner on truth. Nobody does. Because a lot of truth is based on experience. And what one person's truth is because of the life they lived and the things they've seen. And another person may see truth in a different way because they've lived somewhere else, in a different culture perhaps, different part of the world. They see the world in a totally different way. Doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean it's right. It's their truth. So that's the kind of way I see things regarding that. There's a fair segment of Christians who are fundamentalists, and there's a lot that aren't. So I don't want to, pigeonhole people and say I'm not a Christian because I don't believe in fundamentalism. You don't have to be a fundamentalist to be a Christian. Now there's a whole other part of it, and I used to think about this as well when I was going through my whole do I believe in Christianity deal. And there was a comment made on my YouTube channel recently by Julie S, who was fairly let's say unfavorable to my opinion. That's putting it nicely. And she's saying she's a Catholic, and she's trying to tell me how I got my head up my butt. And there's this quote by Abraham Lincoln who said, "If your dog is not better for your religion, then I want no part of it." And that really rings true with me. If you're not a better person because of your religion, then what's the point? It's just legalism. It's just following rituals and traditions because they make you feel better, or they make you feel safe, or that's what's always been done in your family or culture or society or whatever. That doesn't make them valid. It just makes it your truth. You're showing the fruits of your religion by the way that you speak to people. And if you can't show compassion and understanding, that's one of the main reasons I became a Christian, is because when I read the word of Jesus and he taught love and preached love above everything, that was like, man, this guy is love thy neighbor as yourself. He was right on. I was like, I love this stuff because it really, that's really appealing to me. So you may be saying, okay, so you're no longer a Christian. What do you believe now? Well, I'm essentially more or less a Buddhist. Buddhism really appeals to me. The Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, you can spend a lifetime just trying to get your head around that. And one of the beautiful things about Buddhism is it doesn't make judgments. You don't have to have a confession. You don't have to believe in everything exactly the way a pastor, priest, or pope says it. You can have your own versions, and it's completely acceptable. So I'm not sure that I touched on all the specific issues to do with why I left Christianity, but I think I touched on the core parts, which were, again, lack of evidence and being socialized to believe it. But I hope that just gives you a bit of background into my beliefs and my history, and why I left Christianity. Years ago, when I was going through all this, one of the things I used to think about was there's people out there way smarter than me who believe in the claims of Christianity. So what's up with that? I mean, I certainly don't have a corner on the truth. I don't know everything, that's for darn sure. So what about people that are way more intelligent than me, that believe things that I don't, or believe in evidence that I can't believe in? And the answer I came up with is emotion. Religion can be very emotional. And you go to the Pentecostal churches and Baptist churches, they got their hands in the air and all that jazz. That's emotion to me. The singing, the music can be very beautiful and very powerful. And emotion is very powerful. And when you mix religion and emotion together, it's extremely powerful. So, I don't claim to be a super intelligent person. I've gone to university, I have a degree, so what? There's people out there smarter than me that don't have degrees, I know that. And I don't claim to be all knowledgeable. I don't claim to have all the answers. I certainly don't. But for me, I've come to conclusions of what I believe is true. I know religion is a very, very difficult subject to talk about, because people have very heartfelt beliefs that are not easily shaken or challenged. And that's fine. That's their choice. The problem comes in when people try to push their beliefs on others. I strongly believe in separation of church and state. Strongly. I'm probably more in favor of that than the average person. Anyway, I just wanted to reaffirm the idea that I hope I didn't offend anybody. And, it's hard to kind of express my truth without encroaching on other people's truths, because, that could tend to happen. I don't want to offend anybody. That said, don't try to bother converting me back. It's not going to happen. I spent a long time studying Christianity, and I didn't go into a lot of details about all that because I just don't have enough. The video would be way too long. But suffice it to say, I spent 5 years studying Christianity, and I reached my conclusions, and then I closed the book on it. And I'm on to other things now. So I'm hoping the comment section will stay positive, and feel free to ask questions or whatever. But like I said, if it gets too ugly, I'm gonna have to shut the comments off. So thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good night.